All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Gankutsuou, the Count of Monte Cristo, episode 24. The Count's dead.
And the story is headed to a close.
Yep.
There's not really much left to tell in this episode other than kind of wrapping up everyone's kind of emotional... Well, I mean, they could do that. That would be great. But like an emotional kind of coming to terms with what happened.
Sure.
Because I think a lot of these characters have lost someone or multiple someones that really meant a lot to them.
Yeah.
And there's a couple unique perspectives that they could give in this show that they wouldn't have in the books that I'm really curious how they'll handle, because one, the Count's dead here.
So that kind of changes up the final conversation.
A lot of things about the final conversation.
Yeah.
And about certain things that I expected with regards to, well, Maximilian and Valentine. So, okay.
Yeah.
I would love to see everyone come together in Marseille and have, like, just some food together by the beach and just be like, well, let's start something new, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And will Madame Villefort randomly be a part of that too, or will she just be like off, with her alien friend now?
I don't know. That's an interesting thought. Yeah. But okay. Does the Count have any like contingency plan?
Sure.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or like any slight twists left for us?
I don't know, because like he was intending to kill Albert. Like that was the plan. So maybe he would have something for Mercedes, but
But yeah, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Okay.
好きにさせとけ。野郎ども、帰るぞ。
そう。夏の嵐は去ってしまった。僕たちの。
Oh, that's a cool transition.
Yeah, time continues. This stage closes.
Yeah.
The final act at the shore. Okay. Yes! 5 years later.
Okay.
Whoa.
So we kind of get both.
All right. Upgrades.
Yeah.
You as well.
どうだ和平条約の件は。いよいよ締結間近ってとこかな。長かった戦争もついに終結か。民間交流も盛んになり、国民は互いに手を取り合う。本当の意味での豊かな国家が誕生するんだ。今この答えを選択した人々のことを、お前も含めてな。俺はその時々の流れに乗るまでさ。今日は待ちに待った懐かしの君との再会の日だ。どうした？
Oh. They're here.
お前まさか予約忘れたのか？昼の閣議は遅れて一緒に伝えておいてくれ。
Just got reminded about something.
店に来たったのにな。
Oh, nice.
Hey. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, look at him. Look at him.
The beard. He wears it well.
Oh. Oh.
Okay.
Emmanuel.
よし、いい子にしてた人には後でお土産が待ってるぞ。
マクシミリアン。
Oh. Hey.
今戻ったよ。
All right.
Oh.
Okay.
Run into each other's arms already.
Yep.
バランティーヌ。
All right.
Yeah, this is what I was wanting. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right.
ただいま戻りました。あなたの悲願であった帝国と地球の和平がようやく実を結びます。だから僕は本日をもって軍を除隊しました。
Nice.
All right.
おーい、マクシミリアン。バラ
I love this track so much.
Oh, the cool. Cool.
Yeah, let's see here.
いやいやいや、さすがお目が高い。それは輸入物でして、地球からのパリの名のあるブランドの品でございます。
黒髪に似合うか？
いやー、地球のモデルさんってな綺麗だね。黒い髪にはもうバッチリじゃありませんか。
ペッポ。
あ、お客さん。
あなたもいかが、ベルチオ。
いえ、警護中ですので。
見せたいものがあるんです。
これは
戴冠式の日、アルベールさんがこの地に到着されると、それも地球からの大使秘書補佐官としてベルチオ。これを運命と言わずして何と申せましょう。
きっとあの方が導いてくださったのでしょう、姫。あなたが立派にご使命を果たされるようにと。
ええ、私もこの平和が末永く続くよう、このジャニナの地を守っていきたい。
我々もお供します。
ありがとう、ベルチオ。
ガリレオ発パリ宇宙攻撃。まもなく地球周回軌道に入ります。
主犯格の2人、ベネデットとガスパール・カドルッツを全聖域指名手配犯として行方を追っており。
Okay, gotcha.
パリは2時か。
さあさあ、こちらへ。もうご対面は済まされたのですか？
ええ。
時が経つのは早いものですね。
はははは。
ところで今年はお会いになれたのですか？その例の方とは。
Not yet. Saving that for the very end.
ではごゆっくり。
感謝します、神父様。
You know, it's nothing special necessarily, but just the fact that she gets to call, you know, someone else father, you know, because he's a priest, you know, but it's nothing really, but it's just.
Yeah, I like it.
ただいま、フランツ。今、戻ったよ。
連絡させていただきました通り、結局買い手はつきませんでした。よって過去5年間に遡った税を物納していただくことになります。
Oh shit.
私も最後に屋敷の中に入っても構いませんか？
ええ、今のうちにどうぞ。
Dante's and Mondego buried next to them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Flowers at both their graves.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
No way.
Oh my god.
You're kidding.
I mean, the seal had been broken, but this could have been letters that she wrote to Edmond.
France. 俺はこの5年間必死だった。バカみたいに本を読み、ひたすら机に向かった。気がついたら20歳になってた。生きなきゃいけない。お前や父さんや伯爵の代わりに生きなきゃいけないって。俺は怖かったんだ。過去に捕まってしまうことが。 そのまま過去にとらわれて誰かを恨んでしまわないかということが。ごめんなフランツ。ずっと帰らなくてごめんな。
I'm surprised guitar music is what we got now, and it's that piano.
Yeah.
お久しぶりです。お元気ですか？船はようやく地球への帰途に着きました。ただ途中船長が病に倒れてしまわれました。
The final letters.
大事はないと思いますが、帰るのは少し遅くなりそうです。旅立ちのあの日、幻想から見えた遠ざかるマルセイユの日、その温かな光を、私の大切な人たちの光を思い出さない日などありません。私たちの未来に光り輝くのは幸せです。どうか心配しないで待っていてください。愛するメルセデスへ、真心を込めて、あなたのエドモン・ダンテス。
あなたは僕が生まれるずっと前からここにいらしたんですね。俺はお前に誓う。どんな人生を歩むことになってもあの夏のことは忘れない。決して。
And then he starts to hear piano playing.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Ah.
Yep.
Eugenie.
All my friends.
Also to those we won't be seeing again. Keep going.
Said, and lies were told instead. Wait, is it gonna continue after? Me to make you cry.
Lost in you, captivated by you, dazed by you, nothing can go wrong.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So tonight I'll sing
A song to all my friends. So to those we won't be seeing again.
Wow, so the song was fractured all along.
I know.
Oh. Cool. And the theme.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. And it's over.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Ah. Okay. That was a sweet episode.
That was really sweet.
Yeah, it was nice of the show to kind of give us a bit of an epilogue and a where are they now. Mm-hmm. No conflict really to say in the episode.
Because the conflict's been addressed.
The conflict's been addressed. It's over. Mm-hmm. I do feel like this was kind of a thing that could have been done in 10 minutes at the end of another episode. You know?
Okay.
I don't feel like you'd see this kind of episode really nowadays in a 2-cour show when we've only spent 23 episodes with the characters. So I feel like this was kind of a bit like, oh, okay, it was nice, but it felt a bit like longer than it needed to be. Like,
maybe
that they needed a TV length episode or something. Like they needed to do 24 episodes.
That's interesting because I didn't get that vibe. I wonder if that's a difference in that you've read the original book ending and I haven't. So like maybe it's something where like this definitely wouldn't be as gripping as what you've communicated to me of the book ending.
In the book ending, there's a lot of stuff that takes place with the Count going and talking to a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, there's a really, really powerful talk between him, Maximilian, Valentine, and there's a couple other people there. I believe it's Emmanuel and Julie, and maybe Albert as well. I'm not sure. But
remind me of who Emmanuel and Julie are.
They're Maximilian's
parents.
Brother-in-law and brother-in-law and sister.
Gotcha.
They're literally the characters you just saw for the first time here.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's some good stuff that happens there that we just aren't gonna get because the Count's dead. So it's like yeah, I get it. The Count's dead, so it doesn't. But then it doesn't. Like, the most emotional thing I got out of this episode was Valentine and Maximilian's reunion. And I was just like, oh, I'm really glad they get to see each other again. But there's no other stuff with them. We just kind of literally went and did Where Are They Now with everyone.
Yep. And I think that works pretty well for this story because it's something where, like, because a lot of the characters, like you said, we didn't get too much time with them, like, over the course of the story, right? Because, you know, most of it was focused on the Count and Albert and things like that. I feel like it's a way to, in some ways, maybe do things faster because you don't. It's more of like a you know, it's able to be like a montage of like, okay, let's revisit all the characters.
Yeah, it's a montage episode.
Right, exactly. But I feel like that can still totally work. And given
what's your goal though? Like,
well, it's something where the story that we've been told has been a very fast-paced kind of thrill-a-minute, or not necessarily thrill-a-minute, but it's
a drama.
But it's also been like a total thriller recently. Like, and I feel like that kind of mellower tone for an episode helps add to the idea that everything is peaceful now. The storm has passed, so to speak.
Yeah,
you know,
like and I agree with you. I was just saying that they could have done that in 10 minutes, and the rest of it could have been used for character stuff that's new, because this is a different story. And I don't feel like they brought anything really new to the characters other than what they did with Albert, and I really liked that stuff.
Gotcha.
But even then, we didn't get that much focus on Albert.
Because the main ones that I feel like they needed to focus on were Albert, mainly, of course, Mercedes, Eugenie, and then in
some ways the Count.
And then the Count, and then also Haiti.
Yeah, and Haiti again. Also, I don't feel like I feel like they could have done more. I understand it, but I am. That's why I was kind of hoping subconsciously that they weren't going to do a Where Are They Now? Because I'm not interested in Beauchamp or Renaud or
yeah, but they didn't spend too much time on them. Like,
no, but that was the beginning of the episode. Like, that just showed kind of the point of where this episode's focus was showing where everyone is.
Well, yeah,
and I don't know. I don't really care about Luigi Vampa not meeting up again with Peppo. It created a funny joke in that we were like, hey, Peppo is now an amazing model.
Right. But like I feel like the time that was spent on the side characters wasn't too much for each side character. It was just more of something where like my vibe that I got from it is that because there's so many side characters, spending even a small amount of time on them will take up a fair chunk of change in the episode.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I still really liked it because the idea that, you know, Luigi Vampa and his gang of thieves and stuff, they're still kicking. They're still out and around, you know. The idea of Bertuccio when he was, you know, having that moment over what is essentially the grave of the Count now, even though it's not the actual grave, right? It's the place where everything went down, you know, the place where he spent so much time, and he, you know, has that quiet moment and tosses the flower.
That was wonderful.
Like I loved that. That, you know, getting to see that, I forget his name, but the one of the thieves.
Yeah. Kind of. Okay. It's just I got you.
Thanks for the interruption. But that he was still alive, that he took the shot, and that he's still okay. It's like, okay, cool. That's good to know. I was a little bit surprised by that, you know, but okay. The fact that they're still like following around with Haiti, like that they're still traveling, or not traveling with her, but like they're
part of her retinue.
They're part of her retinue.
Yeah,
you know, goes to show that like something that the Count did basically still created something positive, right? He brought these people together, and even though he's gone, even though the objective in revenge is no longer a thing, right? They still, you know, they're still friends. They still have each other's backs and things like that. Like I like that kind of stuff. Like, yes, I would say it is kind of cheesy, and like you don't necessarily need to know too much about the characters as individuals in order to do something like that.
Yeah.
But I still liked how they did it. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like for me, this episode really started to hit once they brought everything back to Albert and got the letter, had the moments of him kind of looking at the mansion, and then thinking back through the letter, using it as a focus point into the fact that this episode being about the beach, the twist was that it was about the beach from the past perspective.
Right.
And that's a really cool way of looking at it, in that we have come all the way back to, in some ways, well, not the redemption, but like the looking back at that time as being something that still like people in the present can hold on to, I guess, and that maybe has some cool implications in that the difference between this version and the previous version is that this is the happiest of happy endings we could get with the Count of Monte Cristo storyline, because the ending of the Count of Monte Cristo in the books is not a happy ending.
No.
In so much that most of the characters leave with a somber kind of just, okay, the storm is over, but
it did a lot of damage.
Well, it did a lot of damage, and there's nothing really that's going to like recompense for that. And in some ways, I like the way the Count in the book tries to make peace with people specifically to try and kind of atone, if you will, for the stuff that he's brought down upon all of them, even though in the point of that one was that Maximilian and Valentine would never have come together without the Count's interference, if you will. So that's the beautiful love of the young lovers that came about through the midst of this whole thing. But
in some ways, probably not even Eugenie and Albert.
That's not in the books at all. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, I know. But that was a thing I would have liked to see in this version here, is then like a touching reunion with them. Like all we hear is the piano, and then we assume that okay.
I mean, yeah,
we ran out of time in the episode, but we're going to show voice actor title cards when we could show.
Okay,
time spent with them.
No, yeah, I get that, but like I get that, but at the same time, like I feel like it's all something where we know exactly how that would go.
No, I know, but why leave it up to the
imagination
when this is the new adaptation? So give me something new. That's the thing. Is that this is. I already I feel like this is the weird thing, is that I'm caught in a rock and a hard place here, in that this show was not the book, The Count of Monte Cristo, and I'm so happy that it wasn't that exactly, because there were so many surprises and fun twists along the way that I was like, yes, exactly. And then in the end, at the final kind of moment where you can basically be like, I'm going to hammer the final bit down, we don't get anything that's new for the adaptation. We get basically just a clip montage when they could go into how this changed the characters in a way that's different. And that's what they did for at least a little bit with Albert talking to Franz, who is dead in this iteration, which is, I really loved the idea of him being like, I was frantic. I didn't want to become what, my father became, or even what the Count became.
Yep.
So all that time passed, but now, okay, I'm willing to put all that behind. In fact, there's a literal thing of me throwing aside the mansion. I'm completely starting fresh. And then he hears the opportunity to start things even more fresh with Eugenie, because she's back. And it's like, you hear the song, and it's like, okay, cool. We don't need to know what happens, but like,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm kind of lukewarm on this episode. Yeah.
I think one of the my favorite part about this episode was not actually something that had to do with the story.
Oh, okay.
And that was the way they handled the OP.
Yeah, that was really
Anytime that an OP shows up in a show, right? Like, and it's played like in the background, it's generally going to be an awesome moment.
Yeah.
But especially in this case, since the OP has more of the tone of like an ED traditionally and all that stuff,
sure,
I have a very soft spot in my heart for that. And the way that the OP encapsulates a lot of the sort of themes and emotions of the show,
yeah,
I love it in general. The fact that we got then not just it playing in the episode, but we also got more of it.
And it was... Oh, yeah.
Like, that I loved.
And the twist that the song had been playing wrong the whole time. Every time we've been playing the song, we've been skipping the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
They went from verse to verse to verse, but they didn't show that there were two choruses in the middle of that were much more happy and filled with all this joy and goodness.
Sure.
And I liked that maybe that's the tie-in that they were trying to give, that was somewhat kind of a little bit of a realization from Albert, is that because his mom, Mercedes, held on to the letters all that time. Mm-hmm. The love that Edmond had for her actually did pass on to Albert through Mercedes.
Yeah.
All that time.
Even if he didn't realize where it came from.
Well, yeah, even if he didn't realize that it was, essentially something that came about because his mother loved someone so deeply in Edmond. That's a really cool kind of way of saying, well, you're not my father, but in some ways you were there all along. Mm-hmm. That's it's sweet, But I liked that as being maybe that part of the song was there all along, and we just didn't notice it. It wasn't there. That's something that we noticed until the very end, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah. And that's like. It's something that I have, I don't think I've ever seen that done in an anime before. And, different doesn't necessarily mean, like, better, right? But I loved the way that it was used to kind of complement the montage-y nature of the episode. And the fact that we didn't get to actually see the reunion between Albert and Eugenie. I feel like it kind of worked as, like, a almost narration, kind of, of, like, really where the characters are at and things like that. Okay. But because it's a song, like, it's that whole thing of, you can have way more stuff happen in a song than you sometimes can have when you're seeing the characters actually go through the motions, because it's a song and whatnot. But I don't know. I really like this episode. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
But I still really enjoyed it. But that might just be some of the afterglow of the show as a whole,
Yeah, I feel like this show as a whole doesn't need this episode, but if I was to, to look at it objectively, there's no way I would remove it. It's just a thing of where I'd go and be like, oh, the last episode previous to this was the finale. This is just a tacked on kind of little epilogue feel-good montage thing.
FMAB episode 65,
No, I disagree. That's in some ways, that actually brings my point perfectly in. That Ed and Winry have their moment.
We actually got to see it, yeah.
And that was actually a big part of the episode, the final episode. Mm-hmm. We did not get that here.
But
there was a lot of, I would say, emotional turmoil that the two of them went through, and they basically had to part at a point when they had both come through a lot of it, but she did not experience his overcoming all that stuff.
Okay.
And they could have had a really powerful, like, 6-minute emotional scene that could have taken a lot of that stuff in the latter half and been like, yep, let's focus on the simplest aspects of the story.
Sure.
And given that what he learned about his mother just recently, and by extension Edmond, there could be some cool mirroring of basically two more lovers that could basically start over again and throw aside the past.
Right, like maybe we basically like skip past like Albert basically catching her up on stuff, and then it shows the two of them kind of talking about how like we both had pretty messed up family situations and stuff, and or just talking where do we go from here?
Just talking about each other and
because one of the things that I think is this kind of highlights is that the romance between Albert and Eugenie was never the strongest point of this show.
Well, that's because it's not canon in the book.
Right. Yeah. But it was also fairly kind of like tropey, sometimes in fun ways, sometimes in, more cliche ways, right?
Yeah.
And so not seeing them resolve things definitely feels like there's like it's more of like
it wasn't the focus of the show.
Right. Well, but also like use your imagination to fill this in, because it might not have been wholly a choice of know how it goes, but also how would we actually do this? Maybe it's better just to leave it on this like.
Yep. And I feel like that's the reason why I don't like this episode. Is that it feels a little lazy, and it feels like it was just a really cool, pretty way to showcase where everyone is at, without really bringing anything new to the table.
Gotcha. I feel like, I don't know.
That's my thoughts on that.
I feel like that kind of complaint could be put to most any Where Are They Now episode. And that's why I brought up the episode 65 of FMAB, because like the Winry Ed like difference between that and Albert and Eugenie, totally get that. But for most of the other stuff in the episode, isn't it Like, I feel like it's about the same.
No, the stuff with Hawkeye and Mustang. The stuff with Mustang was really powerful because it was showing how he had basically fallen into the role of a leader and was willing to learn basically from others. I completely disagree. They developed multiple characters in that episode comparatively to this one, where actually in the FMA one, the funny thing is how quickly they just don't focus on certain characters. They just they throw out probably like 8 to 10 characters in like a few seconds.
Gotcha.
And then there's a majority of the time that's spent on the main cast.
Because I would posit maybe that it's more because the characters, like, we had more characters that were like left strong like impressions on us in that show than in this show, but the stuff that they were actually doing, like as far as if the characters were like were really shown to grow in the episode versus like just show how they were different after time passing. I feel like it was pretty similar. Like,
I disagree.
Okay, well, maybe I need to watch that episode again. And this is one of those things where this makes me want to read the book or like listen to the audiobook or something.
I highly recommend at least reading the abridged version because it's got like so much good stuff in the middle that like, and also just the beginning, like that this whole story was such a cool way to retell and probably give the best, I would say, adaptation we've ever gotten of the Count of Monte Cristo.
Wholeheartedly agree there.
Even the ones that are like very loosely inspired by the Count of Monte Cristo, because there's a lot of those.
Like there's
a ton of those.
The general, like, you know, this type of revenge, you know, story that ends.
Yeah, basically the
clones of Count of Monte Cristo.
Well, right, but like think about like the show Arrow, for instance. You know, people betray him, is thrown out to an island where he trains basically,
and then comes back,
takes his wealthy
back. And powerful.
And very much kind of filling this double life. That's all Count of Monte Cristo inspiration, kind of stuff like that.
Sure.
So I've seen many of those types of stories, and this one blows all those out of the water in terms of basically telling a slightly new story with like a 15 to 25% deviation on a lot of the things, because then once they got through like the first, I don't know, like 15 to 16 episodes or so, it was just a completely different story. I have to give props to the actual like creators of the show for doing a good job of like sticking to their guns of making their own story rather than being like, okay, we need to fill in the dots of these specific things that happen in the book to happen, just so it feels like it's a Count of Monte Cristo story.
Yeah.
Because the way they handled a lot of things just fit so well for their sci-fi, you know, aristocratic, you know, you know, future Paris setting, you know. So
I think looking back, like I don't know, like this I would definitely call this one of the weaker episodes from the show as a whole, but I feel like that's not saying too much because like most of the episodes, like the only episode that I can think of off the top of my head that I felt like would be like my least favorite episode would have probably been the one where they went into the Count's mansion, and then there was the whole thing with Villefort and Madame Danglars, where they were like seating like Cavalcanti, but like I don't know,
interesting. Yeah. Okay, so this show's over. We've got another show that's going to be replacing it. I've already chosen the show Kids on the Slope, I believe is the English name version of it, but the Japanese is Sakamichi no Apollon. Apollon? Apollon.
Right.
And I'm really excited for us to get into this one because it's another drama, but it's also one that seems to be done by MAPPA, I believe, as well.
Ooh, cool.
And it's got music, and it's got kind of like a school kind of setting. I'm kind of sure, not exactly sure, but this one has been one that's been on the polls a few times and lost horribly every single time. And I'm like, no, you know what? Let's just make this one happen.
Yeah, I'm excited to try this one because I like most of the ones that we do for the Bro Slots. I feel like I have a general vibe for the show. You know, like even if I don't know any of the details really, but
yeah, this one gives off good vibes off of the initial kind of like look of what it's about.
Okay, yeah, but I feel like I also really don't know what to expect.
Like, that's good. That's good. Because I feel like that's kind of the responsibility of each of our slots. Is that
sure.
I'll bring a show that I know you're probably going to like as well. And because I know you pretty well, I can tell you're going to like this one. But also, this is a fun thing, is that our editor apparently just watched a couple episodes and ended up binging the whole thing.
Oh, nice.
And then was just like, oh, yep, this is an amazing show. Like, you guys are gonna like
cool.
this. So I'm really excited. It's another short show as well, so that means I'll get to have a couple other shows that I'll be able to fiat choose before Symphogear. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the first episode's reaction and discussion of Kids on the Slope right now, though, go check out the link in the description below. For our Patreon, you can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.